السلام حياك الله كيف حالك؟ يا الله okay bless you Abi God's name be praised Father Ahmed
is there a preference between the recommended is there a preference between the various recommended sunnah salawat?
Preference? Is there a preference between the different recommended acts of prayer?
Yes.
For sure. No doubt about that. There are some recommended prayers which are standard or rawatib.
No.
And there are some recommended acts of prayer which is yani sunnah mu'akkada, mustahab, muta'akkid, something which is highly recommended, borderline mandatory, such as witr, mathalan, according to those scholars who say that, the majority. Duha, the raka'at before fajr. And there are other voluntary prayers which are nafila, sunnah, recommended. So there are levels, yes. Wallahu a'lam. Any other questions before we move forward? Fadl Abir.
Anyway, the hadith you mentioned about Fadl and the way he was staring at a woman, was that in the context of Hajj, where the woman is supposed to keep her face exposed?
The question is, the hadith of Fadl ibn Abbas, and he looked at the woman and the woman looked at him. Was that in the context of Hajj, in which the Hajj woman, the Haji woman, the pilgrim woman does not cover her hands in her face? Well, she went to ask the Prophet ﷺ about Hajj. So one can argue and say that it's very far-fetched that she was muhrima coming to ask about the ruling. Naam. And as we said before, that's a long discussion with regards to the proofs and the evidences about a woman covering her hands and face in front of non-mahrams. And as the mas'ala tawila. Wallahu a'lam. Wa iyyakum. Hamza.
What do you do if your fish dies or your animal dies? Do you bury it or?
Bury it. There's nothing wrong with burying it. That best. Khairan. Wallahu a'lam. Ahmed.
So if someone makes a call and something good happens afterwards that shows you to make a specific decision, but that decision turns out to be the wrong, quote-unquote bad decision, how should one interpret it?
A person makes istikhara, they see something or feel a way that feels that this is the right thing to do, then afterwards it becomes apparent to them that it wasn't the right thing. That's all subjective. I made istikhara to buy a car. The law made it easy for me. It seemed obvious this is the right thing to do. Afterwards, I got into a bad car accident in that car, or it was a major malfunction that caused me to get into an accident. Doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad decision. That accident could have been good for you. Allahu A'lam. Further, yes.
Is the microphone for both working? I don't know, because I don't hear you in the speaker.
You got people up the steps?
I'm not sure. Do we have people?
Yeah.
Oh, it's very low though, compared to the other one.
Jazakallah
It's
khairan.
working.
Shukran.
Yeah, that one is very good.
Alhamdulillah, thank you. Anybody else? Abir.
Sheikh, is the narrations on the ayam, fasting on the ayam al-bid, is that authentic? Is the narrations?
Fasting on the white nights, inshallah ta'ala. Idnillah. Wallahu a'lam. Ahmed.
To piggyback off this question, could you, is fasting 3 days per month, could it be on any 3 days, or should someone only be on the white
Some
days?
say that Abu Hurairah says, Awsani Khalili bi thalathin. My close friend gave me 3 golden pieces of advice. And from those 3 pieces of golden advice, Abu Hurairah says, is to fast 3 days of every month. So are those 3 days considered to be ayyamul bid, the white nights, meaning the days, not the nights? Or is it an additional? Allahu alam, al-Zahir, and Allah knows best, is that those are the 3 white nights. The nights in which the moon is completely full. Hence white. Wallahu alam. Fadal.
FC Jamaica Queens, New York. We know that on the day of judgment, Muslims will take others' good deeds and give them bad deeds. But what about with disbelievers? How will the disbelievers who harmed us be treated?
How will disbelievers be what?
How will disbelievers who harmed us be treated?
How will disbelievers who harm believers be treated on that day?
No.
Only Allah knows. The general rule, in brief, is that disbelievers are rewarded for their good deeds, but in this world. Now, there are other texts in Quran and Sunnah which state is that there are deeds for the faithless and hereafter, but they will be like a mirage or like dust in the sunlight. So that proves is that the kafir's deeds will be there, quote unquote, in the hereafter. They will not be rewarded for them. So perhaps that's what that means, and they'll be taken from the disbelievers, given to the disbelievers, or increased in punishment. Allahu Akbar.
AL London, UK. If someone has very large debt, they're repaying monthly. Can they go abroad for pay it off or to seek knowledge, or should they pay off the debt fully?
Seeking knowledge, making hijrah, leaving your homeland and your debt depends on the nature of the debt. Someone is requesting the money that you owe. We need our money, we want our money, you must pay us. Don't go. As far as this open debt, there's time, there's flexibility, different story. Wallahu a'lam.
QB London, UK. Should the cross symbols on first aid boxes be erased, especially the ones in the masajid?
A cross symbol on
On a first aid box.
a first aid box. Cover it up, deface it, scratch it out if you can. Wallahu a'lam.
MB Ontario, Canada. Assalamu alaikum. What are the etiquettes of publicly criticizing a Muslim for their public mistakes?
Publicly criticizing a Muslim for public mistakes. Give them advice and warn from the mistakes. Make your target the mistakes and not the person. Wallahu a'lam.
RA from Boston, Massachusetts. When will the HadithDisciple varsity jacket be available for sale? MashaAllah, looks clean. Yeah.
HadithDisciple varsity jacket.
No.
Alhamdulillah. Inshallah. Soon enough. It was out, sold out. When the next edition comes out, which will be soon, we'll let you know, inshallah. Tell us what you need. And inshallah, we'll try to make it happen for you to have it, the size or color. Soon, inshallah.
AM Springfield, Virginia. Can the cash be given to build a water pump in a needy neighborhood overseas?
Zakat can be given to build a water pump in a needy village overseas, inshallah.
AR Boston, Massachusetts is vaccine to TH Chicago, Illinois. If someone doesn't testify that shahada out loud but still believes, is he Muslim in the sight of Allah?
Only Allah knows if they're Muslim or not. Only Allah knows that. Those who make the shahada, we don't know if they're Muslim on the inside. We don't know that. We only deal with that which is outward, on the outside. Only Allah knows.
ID Maharash from India. Assalamu alaikum. Some scholars say that it is haram to get like #1 trim on sides because Marine also do that.
That's what some scholars say. You can't get a fade or #1 trim on the sides because it's the haircut of the Marines. That's what those scholars say. They have the right to say that, to say what they feel and think and believe about that ruling. Allahu Akbar.
QB London, UK. Can I buy a suit where it's for a wedding and then return it to the shop and get refunded?
Buying something with the intention of returning it. The lawful is plain and the unlawful is plain. The store allows you to return it as long as it's within this number of days with the receipt, out the package, etc. They don't ask you, they don't inquire, did you wear it? None of that is being discussed. You're buying it, you're paying for it, you walk out the store with it, you have up to 14 days too. Literally that what? That's simple. Allahu Alam.
ID Atlanta, Georgia. How did you come up with empty your cup?
How did I come up with empty your cup? I didn't come up with the ideology, the concept, or the philosophy, nor did I come up with the actual wording. Rather, there are many people who came before me who spoke on emptying your cup, directly or indirectly. And it's important to understand that. Some people, they think and they feel that empty your cup is something that came from Bruce Lee or a Kung Fu movie. Is deeper and bigger and older than that. In our classes, we've explained and given so many examples of
Empty your cup.
empty your cup. Prophet told the man, ride the camel. He says, it's a sacrificial camel. He said, what? It'll come out, ride it 3 times. Then the last time he said to him, what?
Wait,
Whoa.
Woe to you. Empty your cup. All right? So that's an old statement. Some people have used those words, used that demonstration of pouring the hot tea on the learner's hands. It's burning my hands. Your mind is overflowing with information, with useless stuff that you think is right. All right? So that's a very old concept. Wallahu alam.
AS Abbott's Langley, UK. Is it permissible to pluck hairs if they grow on your feet and toes for men and women? So that's what I'll play on.
Plucking hair on your feet?
Yeah.
I don't know of any prohibition of that.
ID Atlanta, Georgia. Does a revert have to repay debts like student loans and bank debts, etc.?
Take care of the debts that you have even after reverting to Islam. If you can, take care of those debts, inshallah.
AS Abbott Langley, UK. If a person has wiped with stones after having relieved himself, should he clean the stones or for reuse later or dispose of them in household? That's all fair.
When Islam, depending on availability, depending on what's simple, what's possible. Allahu alam.
AS Abbott Langley, UK. Are you allowed to pray tahajjud in Jama'ah while reciting out loud? That's all fair.
It's alright to make tahajjud in congregation occasionally. Wallahu alam.
QB London, UK. Is there any reward or benefit for reading a hadith in Arabic as there is reward for reciting Quran in Arabic? That's all fair.
Is there any reward in reciting or reading hadiths in Arabic similar to the reward of reciting the Quran and every letter, alif, lam, mim, harf, etc., etc.? The Prophet ﷺ, he gave that virtue exclusively to the Quran. But seeking knowledge in general is ibadah. So every second that you spend in ibadah, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, is ibadah. And from the greatest act of ibadah is seeking ilm. There's no doubt about that. But doesn't mean that reading the Quran is like reading the hadiths, vice versa, word for word. La. The Quran is special and exclusive. Wallahu a'lam.
HS, Ottawa, Canada. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti. May Allah bless you. What are the benefits of memorizing the tune created by men? Is having good understanding sufficient?
What are the benefits of memorizing the tune made by men? Is having good understanding sufficient? Memorizing a metin is like using a compass or map, GPS, whatever, however, yani, North Star, Moss, whatever. Simple. If you find the destination, if you find where you're looking for, without those means, no need for the means. How many people can find their direction or their way without the map or the means of the GPS? So it makes it easy for you. Saves you time, saves you effort, saves you energy. And this map has been charted years. Thousands and thousands, not millions of dollars were put into this satellite, making things easy and efficient for you. So why not use it? But if you don't need it, don't use it. If you can understand and you don't need the auxiliary tools, metin is not the Quran. It's not something that's mandatory. It's not something that's holy in itself. It's made by men. It's a metin. Wallahu a'lam.
YD, Brooklyn, New York. What are some misconceptions of the Salaf that we have today?
Misconceptions about the Salaf that we have today?
No.
Allahu a'lam. There are many. from what I've heard and experienced, is many people think and feel that everybody from the Salaf Salih radiallahu anhum was equal in knowledge. That's incorrect. When we talk about the Salaf, there are those who are from the ulama. There were those who were elite, and there were those who were lesser than that. Also, many people have misconceptions with regards to who are the Salaf. What's meant by that? Okay? Only the first 3 generations, etc. Other people, they think and they feel that the tabi'i, someone who's from the Salaf Salih, if he says something, then that's a hujjah. And that's a dalil in itself. Okay? And there are other misconceptions that are widespread as well. Some people think and feel that the Salaf Salih never differed. Some people think and feel that everything that existed during their time was perfect and peaceful. That's a big lie. Okay? Many people, they, for example, bloodshed among the Muslims. They'll think and they'll feel that the Muslims have been fighting and killing each other, and as in the time of the Salaf there was bloodshed. Nah? What happened then? Wallahu a'lam.
SH, please, New York, does not speaking to your aunt because she hurt you make it hard to memorize the Quran?
Does not speaking to your aunt because she hurt you make it difficult and
To memorize the Quran.
this will be our last question tonight. Many scholars have mentioned from the ways of the Quran being easy is obeying Allah. And from the ways of the Quran being difficult and hard is disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiallahu anhu is quoted to have said, كنا نستعين على حفظ أحاديث رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بترك المعصية. That when it came to memorizing the hadiths and reviewing them, locking them down, we used to seek help through obeying Allah and avoiding disobeying Allah. So the general rule is that the more pious a person is, the closer he or she is to Allah, the easier it will be made for them. And the opposite being the opposite. But what I will warn from, don't think that something is immediate and magical. Just because you're pious and righteous doesn't mean that you're studying properly. It doesn't mean that you're reading or revising properly. And just because you make a sin or you have a shortcoming or mistake, it doesn't mean that you can't learn or get any knowledge. You may have a shortcoming, you may have done an act of disobedience, but you may be reviewing what? Very well. I reviewed it well, I memorized it. And someone who doesn't or hasn't made that sin, he didn't what? In other words, one may say you forgot not because of a sin, but because you never what? You never. Aye. So that's in the hands of Allah. Only Allah knows that. And specifically, Wallahu a'lam. Sallallahu alaihi wa sallam wa baraka ala abdihi wa rasulihi nabiyina wa imamina Muhammad.